Father, we are gathered for the purpose of resolution. We're gathered because you woke us up this morning. You closed us in our right mind. You gave us a reasonable portion of health and strength. We're grateful for it. We thank you now and always. Amen.
Amen.
Man, amen. I'd like for all of the longshoremen that have a case, reparations in general, the organizations will hold accountable for that. And lastly, the reparations for Haiti, which is along the same lines for the reparations for the U.S. So that'll be our last on the agenda. My name is Dr. Truth Bay. I'm actually a policy analyst, born and raised in California, focused on federal issues such as reparations, housing, education, you name it, accountability for our people. I'm not an attorney, but I can work just as well as one. And I'm glad to be here.
Double R with CJEC, Coalition for Just and Equitable California, with the organized, mobilized team. I'm here.
Tremaine Palms, Seattle, Washington, Local 19, registration 57771, here representing the longshoremen.
Big V, Local 10, registration number 9651. I'm glad to be here, be on board, hopefully get this to where it needs to go, because like I said, I'll be 68 years old in November and I want to retire.
I was saying something. I was like, hey, peace, power, and light. My name is Crystal Rankin. I'm a community organizer and a business formation specialist. I do a lot of organizing with multiple nonprofit and for-profit organizations, and I'm here to support the movement.
Glad to have you here.
Okay, my name is Marvell Wilson. I'm a youth advocate and a drug prevention specialist, and I am an advocate for our local activity in our neighborhoods. That's the quest, is to build community. Founder of the Men Accountable Project and a co-founder of CADE, which stands for Creativity, Arts, and Educational Development. And just an all-around, help the cause. I'm going to do whatever I am anointed to do to help push an issue of our righteousness in this country.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the call, brother.
Here, we're honored to have you here.
Marco Kuvu, Alio Bay, WMC JLTV, World Media Coalition, Jazz Lovers Television Network, World Ambassador Supreme for the Moor Tribal National Government, World Ambassador at Large for the Attica Kingdom Alliance of over 750 kingdoms, headquartered in Uganda.
All right. Thank you for being here, sir.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robert. I am with Bedu Logistics. I am also part of the Haitian Youth Council. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. Okay. Merci en pile. Merci.
Peace and blessings. My name is Ayipwe Queen Tau. I go by Quick Time, representing Most High. I'm a community organizer from Oakland. My foundation is healing, fitness, envelopment, not development, spirit, mind, and body. I'm an administrator. I love to network, communify the people, make sure things are organized and efficient. I'm in it for the long haul, for our people, our Melanite people, for reparations, most definitely, for Black Wall Street, most definitely, affiliated with many organizations here in Oakland and San Francisco, working a little bit with the city and the county under Pamela Price, Madam DA. I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
It is a blessing to have you on the call, brother. God bless.
God bless you too. Thank you.
My name is Simo Lushan. I've Haitian descent. I was born and raised in Haiti, moved to U.S. in 86. I've been in Boston since 95, and I'd love to be able to go back home.
Yes, absolutely. Chaos is ensuing.
It's a pleasure to meet you, brother.
God bless you.
Right now, our main purpose is to create the scenario for drafting the lawsuits, why we're drafting it, and for what particular reason these agencies are going to be held accountable. Double R?
Yes. I'm here.
Okay, I wanted you to give a brief background on, for those who may not know, the issues of reparations, the Senate bills that were passed, and what's the next step.
Okay, well, as we know, we did make some great accomplishments starting last Thursday, and salute to Senator Bradford. We passed the Appropriations Committee voted 5-2. Of course, all the two was Republicans. We later then went to Tuesday, and it was at the Senate floor there at the Capitol. The state Senate voted for the SB 1403, SB 1403, American Freedmen Agencies. They will be handling all of the policies that will be written up for us for reparations. So that's 1403. We won that 30-7. Then we had SB 1331, which was voted on as well Tuesday. That was about the funds, the money, the moolah. That was won 29-7. And also we had SB 1050, which was won 32-5. And that is about eminent domain. So all property in California will be starting, after Governor Newsom signed it all, this all will be in effect. We still have the assembly. We have the assembly that we're waiting on, the state assembly, and that will be no earlier than latter part of next week, Thursday, Friday. And it would have to be before July 4th, the Independence Day, my man and women. Look at here. It's going to be instead Independence Day and Reparations Day if we get this done. We have favor because the Democrats are pushing for this. And I give Senator Bradford much props. And two, we know that Governor Newsom will be running for president. So, this is the perfect timing. No reparations, no vote. You not voting for reparations. We not voting for you. So look here on the assembly floor, when we get there, it's going to be 80 assembly members. Out of the 80 assembly members, we have 60 Democrats in our favor. We need only 41 votes. Mm-hmm. So as I gave you guys earlier to send some letters and some yeses to the 1403, 1331, and the 1050. So we have 60 Democrats. We have 19 Republicans and 1 independent. Black family, we only need 41 votes. So check this out. Out of the 80, look like we're selling on that. And like I said, at the end of the day, it will be on Governor Newsom's desk. And then we have the 1403 will kick in, the 1331 will kick in, and the 1050 will kick in. I yield back.
If you're able to look at the screen, this is one example of 1050 that passed on Tuesday. As you see this timeline here, you could go under Cal Matters as one of the resources to find out the process of each bill. On Tuesday, it was reviewed in the first chamber, which as Double R mentioned, passed. The second is for the assembly. So as you see this timeline here, where it says second committee review, that's where the assembly floor has to be presented there. And then either second pass to the assembly and then eventually enacted. Again, there's 80 assembly members we have in California. We have a great chance to win. Now, this process, again, is for the state of California. One of the things that I want to make clear is that reparations is a federal issue. So the Congressional Black Caucus is the ones, particularly, that should be pushing for any type of finalization of reparations when it comes down to a national level. So there's 2 events that I want us to really focus on. This is a letter on April 7th addressed to the Congressional Black Caucus, which is one out of many. When I was in DC, we went to the Rayburn building with Cornell and Black Lawyers for Justice and a few other people. And we went into many of the congressional offices, and one that was available, Mitch McConnell wasn't there, but Sheila Jackson Lee office. When we asked her stance on reparations and what we advised for the upcoming president to look over reparations, her main response was like, you don't want to pressure him into things. I mean, we were so flabbergasted. We were
HR 40 lady. Oh, Lord Jesus.
That's right, the HR 40 lady. But it was inevitable that this is how they believe. They said, we don't want to pressure the president into these things or else he's just going to back out. Well, guess what? This is, again, a restitution, something that is owed to us. So you see their mentality of who's in Congress right now. So this was an eye-opener for us when we see the level of distance that these politicians have when it comes to reparations. So this is why we have to push harder, organize stronger, and be a presence in DC. So this letter from Bishop Williams, for 5 decades, he's been working to fight for justice and equality. He's a power of attorney for the state of California. So he has a lot of pull when it comes to advocating for us in a legitimate level, particularly reparations. So in 2004, he took a bold step and filed a lawsuit against a major railroad company, which was Delaware Corporation. And at the time, the Oakland's first mayor, Horace Carpentier, was granted exclusive control of the Oakland ports in promise of building at the time a schoolhouse. This was 1852. And since they never even done that, they just decided to take over like they did everything else and leave nothing for the Black Californians there. Made it matters worse. A lot of us worked in these areas, as we see with the longshoremen in the ports, but yet don't even get due process when it comes to compensation. And in the end, he says, I would deeply be honored to have you attend our special reparations movement in Washington, D.C., October 25th to the 28th, at the steps of our nation's capital, the very place where Martin Luther King had a dream. So this would be appropriate for Bishop's 90th birthday. 90. And every time I think about it, it's just, I'm at awe at the energy he has to continue on this mission. And so this is one of the classic pictures that you'll find him attending the many of all of the Reparations Task Force hearings from 2021 to 2023. Bishop was in attendance and spoke his piece. And so from now, and then we have Double R back there with Dr. Lisa sitting back there. This is one of my favorite pictures because it captures the momentum of what the hearings were like. We sat there, we gave
Amen.
a very
Wow.
Yes.
Man. Yeah.
Yes, gave very, very powerful testimony. We even had to listen to phone calls and people in opposition. So we went through a lot. The task force itself, had some challenges, but overall, I believe Camilla Moore and Senator Bradford, two of one of the stars there. You had Lisa Holder, Don Tamaki, Reginald Jones Sawyer, Amos Brown. Overall, this 9-member task force, when their task was over June 2023, 1,100-page report was finalized, but again, a lot of stuff of the harms were not recorded. So, they did the best they could. So what we want to do moving forward is take it to a federal level, which we can. So this is what I want to explain the process, family. The Article 5 Convention is our superpower. And this is where we can do a survey. That could be our way of consensus, tally vote consensus. So if we create a survey and say that this is what we want on the ballot, or if this is what we want in general as a people, 2/3 of us come up with that. There's 47 million of us. So 2/3 of 47 million, it'll be so. So this is where the challenge, where I say that we can actually have this accomplished once we get everybody on the vine, on the knowledge of what they can do with this particular political mission. And because many of us are not politically inclined, this is where we have to get everyone on the vine for this particular issue.
Yes. And how can they access the Article 5 to sign it? Do we still have that up and available, or what's the status of that?
Yes, they're actually creating a new, there's something called a plebiscite. Black Lawyers for Justice is creating a new survey. They do have a survey up already. If you want to go to Afro-Descendant Nation, which I'll pull that up as well. Afro-Descendant.
And remember, Black family, Article 5 Convention is for sovereign society and for everything else.
That's correct. All right, so afrodescendant.org. And here we go. This is the actual survey that you can sign up in real time. So this is our starting point to let your voice be registered and heard. And then by voting, so the vote, why vote? So by voting, individuals are making their voices heard actively and contributing to the pursuit of reparations and self-determination for Afro-descendants. Or that you're a person, melanated person, that's really what falls under that category. We all know who we are. So the vote is a registration process of getting a minimum of 1 million Black people lined up and organized to register for a movement of reparations. The vote is getting consent from our people to adopt as their identity and to vote results ballots that we take into the international courts of justice. And this is where we are going to be focused on, Black family. I absolutely love ICJ because this is the alternative that we've been looking for. These lawsuits that we are going to be drafting cannot successfully go through the Supreme Court, and that's the highest court on this land. Reason being, civil rights, first and foremost, doesn't really apply to us because we've never been considered equal. That's why human rights needs to be a law, which it isn't. Human rights needs to be a law and needs to be applied. That's why we're still waiting for an anti-Black hate crime bill. We've all seen what happened with the George Floyd Policing Act. It is still sitting there, not moved.
And that will be under the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
That's correct. That's correct. So this year we can invoke to have human rights as a law as part of our Article 5.
What is the court? The
International Courts of Justice.
The International Court. Give me some background on that, because until now I've never heard of it.
How does the international courts work, and are they really effective? There are 3 main international courts in The Hague, which is in the Netherlands. Number 1, the ICJ, commonly known as the World's Court, proceeds of the other 2 courts and was set up in 1945 to replace the UN's Permanent Court of International Justice. Its scope is limited to cases revolving around sovereignty, boundary and maritime disputes, trade, natural resources, human rights, and treaty violations, making it the court of the nation states and UN's members. But there's a catch. If, for example, you're Egypt and the court finds you guilty or at fault in a boundary dispute, you can just ignore the verdict and exercise sovereign principle, which is not accept the court's jurisdiction. Obviously, this makes enforcing any verdict difficult, since the ICJ can only try nation states. Also, its jurisdiction does not reach individuals, private companies, or organizations. And on top of that, any permanent member of the UN Security Council can veto the ICJ's decision, making it almost impossible for the court to try any countries such as Russia or the US. Number 2, the International Criminal Courts. ICC, on the other hand, was the only set up in 2002, and its sole purpose was to try individuals accused of war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. And anyone hoping to see an American brought to justice will be interested to know that US suitably enacted Invade the Hague Act, which forbids the U.S. from cooperating with the ICC in cases that involve American nationals.
Well, the International Criminal Court is troubling to the United States.
But the biggest shortcoming of the court is its reliance on nation states, because for the ICC to get anyone in custody, you have to be handed over for trial, a move that rarely happens in the government if the government in power refuses. And we first need to look up international law. So what is international law? Public law and the law of the nations. It's a set of rules and norms, and it's recognized between binding states. The United States really says it doesn't recognize the UN or the International Courts of Justice, but in actuality, the International Courts of Justice has more power than the US. It was mind-boggling because South Africa already had a lot of oppression themselves, but they saw fit to fight for Palestine in the fact that where they filed a lawsuit on behalf of Palestine. So we need to find an international lawyer. And there's only about maybe 6 or 7 in the world that are active. And so it narrows down to getting to the right people to help draft, but we can start the drafting process as we speak, because it is a lengthy process that we need to start right now in order to.
What about Madam Chair, Camilla Moore?
Absolutely. Camilla Moore is definitely one of those people that we want to bring this forth, and she can advise us on how to navigate as well. But we first want to get the cases together. First, put the synopsis, because each category is different as far as what the lawsuit's about. But the umbrella of crimes against humanity is the legal term that we'll be filing under. Yes, so also war crimes. Okay, so crimes against humanity, crimes of aggression also is another legal term. So what is crimes of aggression? Crime against peace in planning, initiating, execution, a large scale of a serious act of aggression using state military force. The definition and scope of this crime is controversial. For example, the acts of aggression could be utilized as part of leadership crime committed by those in power to shape policies of aggression. That's exactly what we are descendants of chattel slaves are going through when it comes to acts of aggression. Everywhere we turn, there's always an aggregated cause to stop us from getting a loan, or to stop us from living somewhere, or to stop us from just basically walking, driving, jogging in peace in these streets, So traffic stops, a lot of times that could be labeled under crimes of aggression, specifically due to law enforcement. So it's a specific body causing a specific harm. But the main cause, as we said, we're going to focus on is crimes against humanity. So let's look at that term and why that will be most important. So crimes against humanity is a serious crimes committed as a large-scale attack against civilians. And who are the civilians? Us. Unlike war crimes, crimes against humanity can be committed during both peace and war against the state's own nationals as well as foreign nationals. And this is the authority that America was the only country that created these color lines, these color wars, which is why they deem Black as negative and they put us and label us as Black. So that's something that we'll learn more further down the line. But for the basics of the language of who we are, you consider yourself, you are a foreign national, literally, because we are not citizens. By the Constitution in 1776, when it was drafted, we were considered property. So even though they may have amended the 13th or 14th Amendment, it did not alleviate or give us citizenship status. That's why language is so important. And they knew what they were doing. That's why they don't want us to be politically inclined to know these things. So anytime we bring a human rights case, it gets thrown out immediately. A civil rights case, thrown out immediately, unless you have money like Byron Allen, and even then you might get 20 million. But overall, regular people like us, we cannot file under human or civil rights because we are, according to the Constitution, not considered citizens. This is why we have to take our cases to the International Courts of Justice. We can entertain the Supreme Court by presenting it to them, but we don't guarantee a fair trial under the Supreme Court. But we can still advocate to have them at least review this case. So the bank that we have spoken about that will be held accountable is Capital One. Capital One has involved themselves in chattel slavery at one point in time. And so the chairman and chief is Mr. Fairbanks, Richard Fairbanks. All right, so he's the CEO of Capital One. And they love to use DEI. So you got a brother who's a vice president. Doesn't mean he has any much decision-making power, but nonetheless, he's there. And he is not literally, based on his name, I could be wrong, but I think he's probably African, but not Black American. And that's a big difference. Big difference. When we are not in these spaces, it says a lot. Okay, but nonetheless, he's a brother, so we give him the props for being there. And then you have the former director, which is Christine Dietrich, and the former strategy consulting partner, Ann Fritz Hackett. Now, the next one is Wells Fargo CEO, also involved themselves in chattel slavery at one point in time. And Charles Scharf is the current CEO of Wells Fargo Commercial. Delaware Corporation is the railroad that's over the ports. So they are huge. They are mega, mega huge. So that's why a lot of people don't even want to bother to go against a behemoth of this agency. But we have to start from the top because they're the one that's funding everything. So here's members of the court. Let's take a look at the members so that way you can get an idea who will be in the judicial seats when the time comes. Here we go. Current members. I'm going to briefly just go down the judges' names so you can get an idea of the diverse judicial system that this court has.
The International Court of Justice. The court has existed since 1946. Its two official languages are English and French. The ICJ is the successor of another court, created in 1922 by the League of Nations, the Permanent Court of International Justice. Between 1922 and 1940, the Permanent Court handled around 60 cases. It was dissolved after the Second World War. The ICJ succeeded the Permanent Court on the 18th of April 1946, inheriting not only its statute, but also its jurisprudence and traditions. The court consists of 15 judges. They're elected for 9 years by the General Assembly and the Security Council. 5 posts are renewed every 3 years. Judges may be re-elected.
I solemnly declare that I will perform my duties and exercise my powers as judge honorably, faithfully, impartially, and conscientiously.
The composition of the court reflects the following geographical balance. 3 seats on the bench are occupied by African judges. 2 seats are occupied by judges from Latin America and the Caribbean. 3 are occupied by Asian judges. 5 by judges from Western Europe and other Western states. And 2 by judges from Eastern Europe. If the court does not have a judge of the nationality of the states parties to a particular case, those states can each choose what's known as a judge ad hoc. These judges can be of any nationality and have exactly the same rights and duties as elected judges. Every 3 years, the court elects its president and vice president. The president chairs all sittings of the court. He or she directs its work and supervises its administration.
So current members, you have President Nawaf Salam. He's from Lebanon. You have Vice President Julia Sebutundi from Uganda. You have Judge Peter Tomka. He's from Slovakia. You have Judge Ronnie Abraham from France. You have Judge Abdul Kwali Ahmed Youssef from Somalia. Judge Yu Hankin from China, a female at that too. There's not a lot of females here. Judge Dalvir Badari from India. You have Judge Isawa Yuji from Japan. Judge Gorg Nolte from Germany. Judge Hilary Charlesworth from Australia. Judge Leonardo Nemer Caldera Brandt from Brazil. Judge Juan Manuel Gomez Robledo from Mexico. Judge Sarah H. Cleveland from the United States of America. Judge Bogan Lucien Orescu from Romania, and Judge Dia Tadladi from South Africa. So first and foremost, we have 2 events coming up. So the National Black Political Convention, if you're not familiar with it, it started in 1972. And so the 50th anniversary, I believe, was 2022. Due to COVID, everything was still virtual. So this year, September 11th, will be a precursor to our event in October, which will be the part 2 of the National Reparations Convention. September 11th and October 25th to the 26th. These are our main events to really show up and show out to make a dent for November's election. So what best way to do it than in the nation's capital? This will be at the National Press. So this is going to be a very prestigious location. Okay, so please save the date, September 11th, National Black Political Convention.
Roughly 10,000 people have congregated here in Gary this weekend of weekends.
I am a black man. I want a black party. I do not trust white Republicans or white Democrats.
Nothing will be solved by emotionalism without substance. in unity. It's gonna be a different day. We have arrived.
For every murdered martyr, 500,000 have come to take their place, and our spirit remains unconquered.
This is the nature of change.
This document tells you why the man owes you reparations. Here, honey, you want reparations? Take it. This is reparations.
Those of us already disenchanted with the political system could conceivably turn to other tactics, shattering the quiet routine of daily life in this country.
Revolution is about the right for humanity and black people in this country here and across the world to survive. When we come together, what time is it? When we respect each other, what time is it? What time is it?
Where we will have a stamp on reparations. So what do we want with reparations, especially with the young people, to know, to even have them participate by drafting signs? This will be great. Reparation Bible verses. That could be a challenge too. Something that we can start preparing for September 11th. And of course, we want to have people physically there. So we want to arrange buses, field trips starting from now, respective schools to be involved. So we definitely want the state of California to show up and show out at the convention this September 11th. And the second event, October 25th, is the Million Women World Movement. Empress Chi is actually running that. Filet Chinyoso. This was a historic march in Philadelphia in 1997.
They said we did not have names. They said we did not have money. They said we did not have PR. But what we do have is power.
You start thinking about love, and you will truly love. You'll love. Been for centuries. And now, what we want to do is to continue.
And so this will be the 20th anniversary commemoration this October 25th. So it'll be a jam-packed weekend. It'll be an immediate follow-up from September 11th National Black Political Convention. Okay, so save those dates, family. Save some tickets, and this is where fundraising comes in. All right, so the Peace and Unity Plan, if you take a look at it, these are the things I need to accomplish, not only for Haiti, but in the U.S. So it's creating a roundtable to bring executives from the political parties and institutions together for a series of roundtable discussions. This is primarily the initial trip that Bishop Maurice is planning to do in Haiti. Second is creating an outreach to call a national conference in which Haitians can participate, us here, descendants of slaves. So it's really a twofold effort. And so the national participation will be September 11th with the National Policy Alliance, and October 25th to the 28th, the National Reparations Convention. Number 3 is have a government reform. So to form an interim government as senators, mayors, House of Representatives, to collaborate with an office of the governor and department. We need a clean slate, y'all. I know that we are used to this U.S. government, but I'm saying it hasn't any plans for us whatsoever. In fact, it is genocide. That's why I say those who may not be an understanding of the magnitude of what we're in, but we are at war. And if we're not trained mentally, spiritually, first and foremost, and even physically, we're going to be left behind. We're going to be conquered. And our children are the ones that's going to suffer the consequences. The fourth mission is a national reform to strengthen, revitalize police departments, the justice system, and the military. Last but not least is to spread awareness, the initial steps to establish security, create a joint venture, restore housing, increased nutritional options, and education. And so that's all of what we want to accomplish by the end of this year. Us organizing on the ground floor and having these measures in place is what the key element, and that's what we're focusing on at this point. I just want to go over briefly is Citibank. So Sunil Garg, Citibank to this day is receiving reparations from Haiti, meaning that Haiti is paying the Bank of France, which the Bank of France became rich because of Haiti. It was actually Haiti that paid so much reparations that started the Bank of France. And instead of the US saying, oh, no, you shouldn't do that, they actually partnered with France, took our gold in 1913. That's what built Wall Street. That's what built a gold in Boston and in Fort Knox. So it's a hot mess. And of course, Citibank, set up shop in Haiti, and Citigroup turned into Citibank. So let me make that clear. So Citigroup is a larger conglomerate, and then that's where Citibank. So if you have a bank account with Wells Fargo, Capital One, Citibank, those three, please take your money out now. Chase as well. Did I say Chase? Ooh, child, I can't forget Chase. Chase actually was the most forceful of banks that was involved in chattel slavery. They were in it hardcore. They were actually exchanging slaves. So very old institutions, but we have to again look back into how they gained their finances. And that's what Big Money Griff was talking about. The insurance companies, they did not get rich by any means, but literally utilizing slave labor to build their wealth. That's why we are mentioning these particular groups. Aside from the bank is the Red Cross. The Red Cross, but the American Red Cross, since the Haiti earthquake, since 2010, they took over $900 million in 2010. Then when the second earthquake hit in 2021, it was another $1.5 billion. So it's close to $2 billion in total that the Red Cross that we send money to try to help alleviate Haiti. And we see what they did with Katrina, hurricane victims of Katrina, the delay that they went, primarily because majority of victims were 80% Black. And so when we see these things, the staff of these organizations are getting paid at least six figures, eating well. This is where it's going to be holding accountability. So we did have an attorney that's focusing on the lawsuit to Haiti. His name is Emmanuel Wah. And so he's going to help assist draft as well as other lawyers that's going to help advise us.
The last few days, I've been doing a series of video on the sanction regime and the sanction against Haitian business people, Haitian politicians, asking for the evidence against these people. Today, we're going to talk about Gilbert Bidot. Back in 2012, Michel Martelly was president. And of course, some of you may know that at one point, I served as Martelly's attorney. And I also serve as campaign advisor for him. So after Martelly got into office, I had a company that was formed called OSI, Open Sea International. And the company was formed mainly to import rice and cooking oil to Haiti because, the rice has always been an issue. And thanks to the Clinton for destroying our rice crop in Haiti. Company was registered in Haiti. Our president of the company in Haiti was a man by the name of Richard Sassin. God bless his soul. I believe Mr. Sassin passed away a few years ago. So myself and some of my partners at the time had a meeting in Haiti with Sassin, and we told Sassin that I had gotten a contact from a Mexican ambassador to Haiti about an oil company in Mexico that we could purchase cooking oil, that is, for reasonable price, and we sell them to Haiti. So we were very excited about this business opportunity. So my partner and I spoke to Sassin, and Richard Sassin said, well, if you were going to import oil to Haiti, you have to speak to Gilbert Bidot. Now, I have heard of the Bidot or Gilbert Bidot for a long time since I was a kid in Haiti. Of course, that was the reason why we were there, because I wanted to understand why did I need to speak to Gilbert Bidot in order to import cooking oil to Haiti. So the offer they made to myself and my partner was that OSI, my company, would sell the cooking oil to the Bijos group, and then they can turn around and sell it to Haiti. But for my company to bring oil to Haiti directly was a no-no. Somewhere in the middle of the meeting, Gilbert Bijot, the father, he came to the meeting, he greeted us, shook our hands, and he sat down, and he made it very clear that no one, and he meant no one, will import anything to Haiti that he's importing unless you are selling to him. And if you dare to do it without his blessing or without him making an agreement with you, then you might be a dead man walking. Basically what he said. For many, many years, for more than 12 decades, the Bijou family has been running a criminal enterprise. And I will guarantee you, if they were doing business in the United States, they would have been indicted already for running a criminal enterprise. Gilbert Bijou, the people of Haiti have suffered a lot. I know many families whose daughters have been kidnapped, have been raped. I have friends of mine whose family members have been kidnapped in Haiti, where they had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars of ransom in order to get their family members back. If it is proven conclusively that Gilbert Bijou, Sheriff Abdallah, have been financing gangs, have been paying people to terrorize the people of Haiti, the people of Haiti should have a lawsuit against these people for financing terror. And the Canadian government can only help the Haitian people by releasing that evidence. So I'm going to run a petition asking the Canadian government to release the evidence. They ought to release the evidence. They ought to make it available to the public so that we in the Haitian community whose family members have been victimized by the gangs, whose family members have been killed by the gangs, should be able to bring a lawsuit against someone like Gilbert Bijou, who, by the way, is a billionaire, so he could pay. He has enough money, although he stole most of it are crime money. He ought to pay for that. We are asking, and on behalf of the Haitian diaspora, I'm asking the Canadian government, the Office of Prime Minister Trudeau, the Canadian ambassador to Haiti, to release the evidence. Then the Haitian community can gather its resources to make sure that these people are being held accountable for their crimes against the Haitian people. So stay vigilant and don't let people play game with you. Okay?
And so he's going to help assist draft as well as other lawyers that's going to help advise us on how to finalize the drafts of these lawsuits. Clinton Foundation. Now, this is personal to a lot of people because the Clinton Foundation, apparently they say that they own Washington, D.C. I beg to differ. God owns Washington, D.C. And we can't hold fear to an organization or people. Hillary Clinton alone, the Clinton Foundation from 2016 has amassed $1 billion of Haiti relief money since 2016. Set up shop, took our gold, iridium is still plentiful there, and the oil. But the majority of the minerals that they took, the mining corporations that she set up shop in, she came back to the United States in 2016, funded her campaign off of Haitian blood money. This was Haitian blood money. And yet, what did we do? We almost made her president, so we really got to know how we involved and know our history so we don't cause further trauma to our melanated brothers and sisters, because we all are one. We all came from Africa. We may be in different parts of the country, but we all have the same plight as discrimination and lack of 100% human rights in the places that we work, built, lived, raised our children. We don't have a return on investment like everyone else does. That ends the agenda for the case for reparations for Haiti. All right, now let's go to our last agenda, which will be the long journey of the longshoreman.
This is a prototype question that I have to consider myself. And that is, if I were offered a sizable amount of money to abandon my quest for what I'm doing now, what would I say and what would I do? And the reason why I ask that is because there have been a lot of ventures that have been thwarted by personal gain in other countries, and melanated people who had ability to push forth, but they allowed themselves to be wooed in by personal gain. So this is a general question that I'm asking everyone to consider, because I'm thinking about it myself. If I become influential enough to move masses toward a direction, would I allow myself to be tempted to abandon that for a sizable amount of money?
That's a very good question.
But it's a stimulant for all of us to consider, because this is one of the methodologies that may be employed with anyone who has the influence as we go forth.
It sounds like a Judas out the Bible, if I could just throw that in real quick to me.
Let me answer that. That's particularly what has been happening, I would say, in the last 40 years. For example, the lawsuits that we're talking about, a lot of attorneys that were assigned to it, they were paid off. Same thing with Haiti. Haiti has been depleted for so long that it's easy to get someone from the slums, pay them a couple of thousands or whatever, to keep the majority of the people down. And that's what's been happening, I believe, not only with Jimmy Cherizier, but with a lot of the so-called gangs that you see out there. They were financed because, again, they were economically robbed. So they would probably betray or kill their mother for 5 cents, if that's the case.
Hush money payment, if you want to call it something, it's just a stimulant for each individual to think about. You know, everybody here, we have our sphere of influence that is likely to grow to a point to where we become targets. And when we become a target, there is methods that are employed to get us, to persuade us to go against the grain of the direction that we might be going. And that money is probably going to be the first one.
Right.
That's something for us to consider.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's inevitable, what we expect. That's why I believe we haven't gotten reparations yet, because those who actually wanted to move forth to pass the bill to make it happen were persuaded in gifts, in trinkets and toys and prizes and lavish trips and an extra $100,000 here. Judges are paid off all the time. So you're absolutely right. I don't think that we have an ally in this fight, which is why we really got to be 10 toes down spiritually, got to have our organizational game tight, and really trust God to bring the right people to see this thing through. Highlight the enemies, or like I said, the paid Judases, as 216 mentioned. We just got to know thyself, and when we recognize something like that happening, we got to just move towards the next real thing. But there's always someone out there that's not compromised. And I believe when we constantly do try to fight for righteousness, that we will be led to those type of people. I hope that answered something relative. She 216, quickly.
I just think that that's not just to this situation with Haiti, but that's just in your life. Like, if you're just a person easily moved by money and you'll do anything for the money, I just think that's the type of person you are. So on the flip side, if something like that were to happen, the good thing would be God will be revealing the snake in the room, and that person doesn't need to be in the room anyway. So God forbid, I hope nothing like that happens, but that's definitely a Judas spirit.
Yes, and that's a spirit of discernment. That's when that comes out. Maurice, he has a heart for the people of Haiti, which is why we want to highlight people who really want to negotiate and bring peace amongst the people. But I really would like the women and the youth groups of Haiti to actually come to the States, even if it's for these events, 1 day or 2 or 3 days. That's what I would like to fundraise for, because I think it's unfair for them to be stuck in a place where they are forced trauma, and then the people who are causing the trauma are eating well, and they can't experience that. So that's the mission that I'd like to see. With the opening statement, and to explain to us the case of the longshoreman. So, Brother Vincent, would you like to begin? Tell us a little bit about your case and where you're at.
Yes, my name is Vincent Ward. They call me Big V on the waterfront. I've been down there since 2000. Drove everything, every piece of machinery except the crane. I got hurt on the job September the 18th, 2016. And on September the 18th, 2016, I was waiting to receive a box off the ship, and the crane driver went on the offshore side, which is the water side of the ship, to pick up a load and bring it off the ship and put it on the back of my bomb cart. And what happened before he can get that box off the ship, what he did was, it was 3 boxes on the inshore side of the ship, and he didn't hoist up high enough, and he dominoed 3 40-foot containers, all loads. Every day, these were not empties. One landed on top of my tractor, one landed in between the crane and the ship, and one landed at least 150 yards in the water. And I got knocked out. First, the fire department showed up. Then I was taken by ambulance to the hospital. After I got released from going from the doctor, from the emergency room, I went home. 3 days later, I went back to another hospital and checked in to get an evaluation. And I got evaluated and went back home. So then I attained a lawyer. This idiot lawyer that I call myself attaining, he played both sides of the fence.
I'm glad that you are alive. Like I said, it's injuries like that take the lives of many of our longshoremen and women as well. So I'm grateful for you that you are fighting the good fight, and we're going to make sure we have accountability.
We have a pool of lawyers, Black lawyers, any lawyers really, especially Black though.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that. Black Lawyers for Justice, as I mentioned before, is the group that we're going to bring this for advisement. Malik just won in the case of Mississippi. I don't know if you remember Jenkins and Eddie Terrell, officers that assaulted Michael in Mississippi. They got 132 years conviction for these two. I'm going to repeat
Wonderful.
that. In what case do we ever hear that the officers, you see, look at these 6 bozos that assaulted these two gentlemen. It was a huge deal at the time. And so here's Malik Shabazz, as you see right here in the back. And he was able to get 132 years of conviction for these officers in Mississippi, out of all places. So trust and believe, Black Lawyers for Justice is as good as it gets. And again, we will consult with them after we start drafting our first initial synopsis. All right. And then we also, if you know anyone else that Black lawyers that would like to work with us as a conglomerate, again, we're not trying to look for compromised individuals, but we're going to start with what we have right now.
Make noise and make more people aware, in the legislators and people in higher places in our state and federal government, that these things are going on against workers.
We got generations of longshoremen.
All right, okay. I got it.
God is so good.
All the time.
These worker comp people don't want to pay injured longshoremen.
Yes.
And we work hard. I mean, especially as longshoremen, our work is equivalent to postmen, federal, a whole bunch of things. If we don't work, hell breaks loose. So for us not to be supported is really terrible, because we move this country. If we don't work one day, people could go out of business. Right. That's just how important our work is. But to be treated just like, another number when you get hurt, and we go down there and we pledge an oath to this lifestyle, and then we treat it on the back end when we get hurt like nothing, and like, just another number.
Injustice.
Yeah, injustice, deception, covering for the companies.
Job on the waterfront. Yeah, my name is Bill. I want to put pressure on the Department of Labor, OSHA, and OALJ validate the legitimate claim, and why is OSHA not out there on the dock when injured workers die or get hurt? And we need Governor Newsom to hire more OSHA agents to come out.
The case of the longshoreman.
It's always a pleasure to be amongst the land of the living, but more importantly, those that look like us. So grateful to be here. And I just want to share that I've been a longshoreman since 2004. And subsequent, I did a host of other things, but never had any major injuries or anything like that. I was injured repeatedly. I had 3 incidents in which Caucasian longshoremen took a forklift and drove it into my left ankle. I had another longshoreman that didn't look like me take a pallet jack, ran it into my ankle. That was intentional for the advocacy work that I was doing on the union. Additionally, I was picked up and dropped in a semi-truck 3 times. The second time I woke up in Harborview. I was unconscious. I suffered psychological trauma. This was 3 separate occasions. By the time I was not even in my 4th year working on the waterfront, I was permanently and totally disabled. I was unable to work and in, my early 30s. So that I've been fighting this for over 17 years. I've had numerous attorneys, black and white, and none of them have gotten me across the finish line. None of them have been able to get the due process that all of us should be afforded who've been injured on the waterfront. There's no doubt of conspiracy with respect to what's going on here, simply because when you read the Longshore Harbor Workers Compensation Act, what it says and what they do within it is not the same. There's no reason to have an administrative law judge. There's no reason to have IME doctors. And there's certainly no reason for the obligatory company to have defense by the administrative law judge. Hearings that you have, they've already conspired against you. And so it's very difficult to get to the end when you have an administrative law judge who's paid off, when you have the defense attorney that represents the self-insured company, Homeport Insurance. And then on top of that, you have paid IME doctors that the ALJ is going to side with, totally against the law of the claimant. And under the Longshore Harbor Workers Act, they state that it's a no-fault system. My point with that is that what's the use of having a no-fault system if that no fault doesn't provide the benefits that you state that it's going to provide somebody who's injured on the job? And the purpose of the OWCP, which is the Office of Workers' Compensation, is to look at the decision from the ALJ to determine whether or not he applied the applicable law. What they call the district director job at the OWCP office is to do just that. And they don't do that. They agree with the ALJ. And the problem with that is that they're conspiring together because under Social Security disability rules, a administrative law judge cannot go against the claimant's treating physicians. And this is what under the Longshore Harbor Workers Act, they do repeatedly.
Holding them accountable in a financial way. Now, the main culprit of the longshoreman is the SSA Marine. It's a Carrick's enterprise. And SSA Terminals is another word for it. But this is, again, a multi-billion-dollar company. All right, so they are overseas of all of the ports, their doings, their biddings, their job functions. And who owns it? 6 people. Okay, this is not 100 staff employee organization. The top executives are literally 6 people. Okay, so first you have the Chief Executive Officer, Uffe Ostegard. She actually worked in the shipping industry for 30 years. Oh, Carrick's and Blackstone, Ostegard, again, the CEO. Then you have Jamie Neal, the Chief Financial Officer. All right, Jamie Neal. She has joined the company in 2007 as an associate general counsel, later served as VP of financing, graduate of Western Washington University, Indian Law, Bloomington. So she has a lot of legal knowledge of maritime law in her position. And currently, she oversees CARIC's financial, banking, legal, government relations, and risk management. I can tell you right now, she's the one behind the scenes that has the power, based on her resume right here. So any claims, Jamie Neal, I can assure you, has the power to deny or advise those to deny. Okay, so the next person is Carlo Oriola. Okay, he's the president of SSA International. Okay, so his background. He went to MIT 1995, in marketing 1979 to 1993, held various positions at the National Port Authority of Panama. Okay, so that explains Oriola. President of the Maritime Chamber of Panama, and February 2017 was promoted to president of SSA International, responsibility for all container operations outside the U.S. Okay, so this is your international board there. Now next, board of directors are the other three. As I told you, it's very small, unless they're not trying to reveal the employees, the top executives of all their staff. I find it highly suspect to see 6 members on this website. So the next is the chairman of SSA Marin. It is Sebastian Sherman. Sebastian Sherman, let's see what else he got here. Senior Managing Director. All right, prior to joining Blackstone Infrastructure in 2017, he spent 14 years in Borealis Infrastructure. Okay, so he's been around South America, North America, Europe. He has his honors in BA from Queen's University. I believe Queen's University might be in Australia. I don't know. Okay, so the next person is Heidi Boyd. She's a senior managing director. Heidi Boyd. All right, so she is the director for the infrastructure group, joining Blackstone in 2018. She has been involved in execution of Blackstone investments, including Carix and First Energy, a Marine. Okay, and last but not least is Fernando Chico. And they just have him as a title as member. So he might be standing in line for one of these executive positions. All right, so he is currently chairman and CEO of PromCap, a private equity investment firm dedicated fundamentally to invest in Mexican projects and companies within diverse industries. Well, there you have it.
Thank you. These are our Longshore brothers here on the West Coast, and we are the Defense A team. And one of the reasons why we started this Longshore movement is because of these 3 things here, which is the Longshore textbook. They have a Longshore textbook to keep our cases pending. Okay, then also we have the maritime lawyers. That's one of the big reasons why it's so hard for us to get an attorney, because we have to be careful here on the West Coast, because they will not accept our cases.
Mm-hmm.
And Blackstone has a law firm out there in LA. They are one of them. They would not accept our cases. We tried Morgan & Morgan. Okay, there's another one. And also the Dirty Dozen. The Office of Administrative Law Judges. Okay, the OALJ.
There's a case at the Ninth Circuit. Thank you, Bro Paul. There's a case at the Ninth Circuit called the Towney case. Her name is Sandra Towney. Last name Towney, spelled Towne. Each of you could look up the case. But what it said is the administrative law judge, the judge who presided over the Longshore case involving Sandra Towney, wrote in his ruling that the Longshore Harbor Workers' Compensation Act repeatedly denies legitimate claims.
Wow.
They put the Longshore Harbor Workers' Compensation Act on notice to the world to let them know, y'all, this stuff is fraudulent.
Okay, so if they put as much effort into Black American issues as they do with South American issues, I can guarantee you we wouldn't go through half of this trauma or issues or struggles.
And we all need our claims validated. There's so many other injured workers up and down California. 15,000 injured workers can't get their claims validated, and we want Governor Newsom to come out and hire more OSHA workers. Come speak up. We need your input on these injured workers on the waterfront, and we want our claims validated.
Paul from the Hall, 20 years on the waterfront. 20 years. Okay, got hurt a few times. Very little money when you get hurt. You can work but don't get hurt. You can die but don't cry. They don't care. Black power.
Black power. My name Red. I'm just here for the cause. You know, Black power. Black power. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy. I'm a longshoreman out of Oakland, and I'm here as an injured longshoreman in support of my brothers and the rest of the longshoremen that aren't here who are fighting workers' compensation and have been done unjustly. And we're here to basically light up this conversation about our unions, not just our union, because it's happening in unions across this country. And the union leaderships need to be held accountable just as well as the companies, because unfortunately they are colluding with the companies and keeping our claims controverted. Taxation without representation.
That's right.
Pay dues. And I haven't heard too much of any other union, but it's actually $400. A little over $400 a month.
Over $400 a month.
To pay dues to go to work for a union that's not representing us and fighting for us any longer.
On the front line.
And that's what upsets me the most in all of this. So I feel like I'm paying for my own demise. And women in this industry really don't speak out.
That's right.
And there's plenty of women have been injured, never reported, injured physically, injured mentally, sexually harassed. You name it, it's happened on the waterfront, and a lot of it goes unreported.
That's right.
I'm here to encourage other sisters to speak up and let's stop being shamed by us being hurt, because there's no shame when we didn't cause the hurt.
That's right.
Hey, my name is Harold Aday, 101148. I'm supposed to be a chassis mechanic, and I got hurt on the job in 2007. What I had to do when they confiscated my claim, I had to file for social service and get food stamps for me and my son to survive on and keep my doctors. And the union was not there for me.
I'm Troy Finley of the Bay Area National Action Network chapter. I'm here for the simple fact of we're trying to get done what's fair and what's right. We have people who have gotten hurt, people who have lost their jobs, people who have died and have just been pushed aside. People who have paid their dues to their union and haven't got represented by their union. And the one thing that hit me while I've been sitting here listening, if everybody who's going to see this think this is only going to affect black people, get your life together. Because you next. If you ain't already been hit, you are next.
That's right. They said president.
If you think this is just going to be something that's just going to be a focus just because the color of our skin, don't fool yourself. As always, we are in the front of every fight. As always, we are trailblazing what's right and what's wrong. And right now, to fix your problem before it happens, you need to get down here and fix ours. You need to stand up and fix ours. Stand up for, like I said earlier, for what's fair and what's right. No one down here is asking for any more or less than what we deserve.
That's right.
Not even asking. It's not even a matter of asking.
Right. Yeah.
These brothers and sisters have given their lives, their livelihood, their families up.
Their blood.
Made ultimate sacrifices. And you don't want to repay them just when what's fair and what's right? Come on, let's do better than that.
That's right.
If this is how you're going to treat us, think about how they're going to treat the rest of the country. We've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah. This isn't new. Right here. What do we do? This was 80 years ago and we still having the same fight?
The same fight.
Same fight.
Get it together, people. But I can tell you, we ready for the marathon.
This is a black power movement. This is a movement for us to get everything that we deserve. We deserve so much more. And it's not, we can't even mention what we deserve. But it's time to stop. If we're going to do something, we got to do it right. We got to stop working for them. Stop living for them. Let's come together and live for us.